Hey everybody, before you check out Rough and Rowdy Ways, I'm hoping that you guys will come to this video since I'll be still covering some of the early Dylan albums before I do my Rough and Rowdy Ways review or commentary video. I want to go ahead and discuss at least the first four Dylan albums. I had of course the debut album. Following that up will be the Times Out of Mind, or Times Out of Mind. Oh my God, folks, what am I doing? Okay, the times they are changing at another side of Bob Dylan. I'll be doing those two as well, kind of into one video. But I want to go ahead and talk about the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. This is the album where Dylan was really scoping, what the conditions of of that time, basically, even though he wasn't really being political or whatever, he was really taking a look at the, at least back during that whole time period, during the, the early 60s, of course, you had the civil rights, you had the whole Cuban Missile Crisis thing, of course you had JFK assassination, even though he doesn't talk about that there, but of course he talks about it, which of course I'll be talking about on Rough and Rowdy Ways. But yeah, I mean, they definitely gave Dylan another shot, and this came out in May of '63. This was recorded, actually during the summer of '62, and well into a little bit early '63. Of course, that was still, with his old girlfriend, Susie Rudlow, I believe, before he went on to, before he met Sarah Lowndes or whatever. And of course, this was down by Doodle Street or something like that in New York, I believe. So, and I really love this shot too as well. Really, it's a really cool shot. Definitely, really, it's visually is like, wow. You feel like this is like the early '60s. So some definitely great stuff. Now, of course, is still produced. I believe this. Yeah, John Hammond's still producing for Dylan, of course. And what a magnificent, early period here for Dylan. The whole beginning here. Where he's still kind of, he's taking. I feel like within this album, you can see a little bit of him, really. Really being a little bit more serious, and really divulging into the really hardcore stuff, And of course, with his great lyrics, of course, I felt like he was taking a little bit of a step further in his lyrics, But of course, the album opens up with "Blowin' in the Wind." Of course, that was like one of his songs that really maybe perhaps introduced a lot of people to Dylan, but also with Peter, Paul and Mary's version. I was about to show you, I don't have it around here, but the 45 of "Blowin' in the Wind" by Peter, Paul and Mary. And of course that may be some that maybe got introduced to Dylan as well, by that cover by Peter, Paul and Mary. It goes right into "Girl from the North Country," which is a beautiful song, obviously, perhaps taking some elements of other, maybe perhaps taking elements from Scarborough Fair, even though he didn't really, I feel like he didn't plagiarize too much of that song. "Masters of War," there you got a perfect example, a perfect song, a really great example, and really a song that I think Dylan was really taking a bit further, taking a little bit further into his lyrical realm. Also, "Down the Highway" is still a little bit like the debut, of course, Bob Dylan's Blues. And I think definitely one of the best early masterpieces, "Hard Rain's Gonna Fall." Just like, the way he strums that guitar, he's, kind of seeking, really plotting his revenge or whatever, and then "Don't Think Twice Is All Right," which is kind of, There's a little bit of satire, silliness or whatever. Bob Dylan's Dream, which it's another goofy early song in Oxford Town. I feel like maybe some people didn't really like it at first is because of the last 3 songs that were on the album, and for me, for how I feel about the cover songs, I actually kind of like them. Karina, Karina, and Honey, Just Allow Me One More Chance and I Shall Be Free. I actually do like those songs. But I feel like some Dylan fans, maybe, I don't know, I think some Dylan fans appreciate those songs, of course, but I feel like thinking back then in '63, I bet some people were probably thinking, okay, well, here we go. He's talking about Masters of War. But at the end, he's doing songs like Honey, Just Allow Me One More Chance. Like, should we really buy into Dylan now or what? But, either way, they're definitely fun songs, I think, in my opinion. And I wouldn't really say it's a perfect at least a perfect album, I believe, but it's definitely, in my opinion, one of the early, definitely a good early example of Dylan, really, taking himself, making himself a little bit more of a serious songwriter, and not just like, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to be like I'm going to be like a folky that's not taking, it's not going to take things serious or whatever and make things fun or whatever, But there you go, the Freewheelin. I'm glad I can go back doing these, so hopefully I'll be doing the next 2, and I hope to see you guys next time in my next video, all right? Till then, take care. Bye-bye.